My name is Nanette and I survived a heart attack at 36. You wouldn't expect me to be someone to have a heart attack at such a young age, particularly because I didn't have any heart issues, I didn't have any high blood pressure, high cholesterol, didn't even have family history. I was just a working mother of two. At the time, I was a county prosecutor. I worked in the sex crime section, dealing with both adult sex and child sex cases, a highly stressful job. I took the week off between summer and Christmas, so I was on Christmas vacation, and I was watching a movie with my daughter. I went outside to take a phone call with my mother, and as soon as I lit up my cigarette, I felt a pain in my chest, like someone had punched me. Then there was burning down my arms, like there was acid in my veins. I'd never felt like any of this before, so I decided it was time for me to go inside and try to lie down. As soon as I went inside, I started breaking down in sweat. My hair was drenched. The pain wasn't stopping, so I decided to lie down. It wasn't getting better. So at that time, you know, what most women do, they want to fix things instead of just go to the doctor. I didn't think it was serious, so I thought I better take a shower, which I don't recommend, even though most women do exactly that, not understanding the seriousness of heart disease. I went out at that time after my shower, I was still in a lot of pain, so I contacted my son, he called my husband, and he called 911. While we were waiting for the paramedics to arrive, the 911 operator told me to chew an aspirin, which I had no idea what the relevance was at the time. So I chewed the aspirin, and shortly afterwards, the pain stopped just as quickly as it came. The paramedics still came in, they did an EKG, and they didn't think anything was wrong with me. So they told me at that time just to rest, relax, call my doctor on Monday, and they'll see what happens. So I did just that. I rested most of the day, and then later in the evening we had gone out for some family functions, came back in, and it happened again just as suddenly. I felt the punch in my chest, burning down my arms, and I fell to the floor. My husband called paramedics again, and a second crew, completely different crew, came in. This time the pain was not stopping. It was an intense pain that I'd never felt before. They did a second EKG, and again they said my heart seemed fine. They didn't know why I was telling them I thought it was a heart problem. So my husband and I decided, since this happened twice in the same day, that it was probably best that I go to the hospital. So they transported me to a hospital, checked me over, and they didn't think anything was wrong. They thought it was acid reflux, early menopause, but nobody thought at my age, with no family history, that it could be a heart issue. So the next morning, as I was staying in the hospital, 6 a.m., I was woken up by a nurse who told me that I was suddenly having a heart attack. She said the blood labs came back and the machines indicated that I was in cardiac arrest. So I'm woken up, being rushed down into the cath lab. My husband isn't there. They're calling him. I have no idea what's happening at the time, and they run into my heart. At that time, they found that I had 3 blockages. 100% blockage in one of my major arteries. So they were able to push through it, put 3 stents in my heart, and that's when my life changed. I came out of there to find out that I couldn't live my life the same way I had before. Even though I'd always had a fairly healthy lifestyle, I call it my normal lifestyle. Wasn't perfect. I didn't work out every day. I didn't eat the perfect meals every day. You know, occasionally I'd have a slice of pizza, or I might have a burger and fries, but it was a pretty standard lifestyle. So I realized after going to cardiac rehab that I needed to quit smoking, so I did that cold turkey, and I needed to learn to deal with stress because I hadn't dealt with that very well. So I started walking, exercising, realized that my job as a sex crimes prosecutor was too stressful, so I changed jobs at that time and continued to see my doctors. Started getting exercise on a more regular basis and changing my health lifestyles. That's when I started working with the American Heart Association and the Go Red for Women campaign to raise awareness amongst women, because before I had my heart attack, I didn't think at 36 I was at risk of anything. I thought only people who have family history had to be worried. Since then, I've learned that heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. Most women are more worried about breast cancer, as was I. I had family history for breast cancer. So I was just like everybody else, more worried about breast cancer than I was of heart disease. Even though 1 out of 25 women die from breast cancer, while 1 in 3 die from heart disease. Just a huge number difference. As women, we don't typically think that heart disease is something that'll happen to us. So we're less likely than men to seek that early treatment for the heart-related symptoms. Our symptoms are less obvious. Instead of that pain down just the left arm or severe chest pain, like myself, I had a burning sensation down both arms. I had sweating. Many other women just have a back pain, or they might feel tired or flu-like symptoms. So they're very different. According to Dr. Peart, a cardiologist at St. Joe's, women show up at the emergency room later in their heart attacks than men do. And that is the contributing factor why many women do not survive their heart attacks. Even myself, I chose to take my shower and delay getting into that hospital. My first attack was early in the morning. I didn't make it to the hospital until 11 p.m. at night. And I was very lucky because the doctors had told me if I had not gone that night, there's a high likelihood I would not have survived. My husband would have woke up with me and I would have passed away throughout the night. So it's important that women make sure that they go immediately to get treatment and they seek the preventative ways to stop heart disease. By the time women receive treatment, we have more muscle damage. So more than 50% of women who have heart attacks will go on to develop congestional heart failure. That's compared to only 20% of the men who seek the treatment earlier. Looking back at my experience, I realized I had warning signs. 7 months prior, I had been very exhausted. I had noticed a significant change in my energy levels. I felt pressure in my chest area when I'd have a cigarette, but I really just thought it was part of my work, not getting enough sleep. I didn't think I had a serious health issue. They even checked me and decided to take out my gallbladder because they thought it might be gastro-related, but nobody ever checked my heart. So if you start feeling unusual things such as nausea, weakness, feeling of chest pain or pressure, you want to make sure that you at least seek your doctor. Talk to him about your health issues and make sure that you take it seriously. It's not necessarily just the flu, but it may be. But it's something that you need to get medical advice on before you self-diagnose. As you see, I'm young to be a heart attack victim, but unfortunately, I'm not unusual. Heart disease is on the rise among American women under the age of 45, which is my age. You don't have to have a family history. You don't have to be obese. You don't have to have an especially bad diet. I'm just an average woman with 2 kids, a husband, and a job that could be stressful, and a tendency to smoke occasionally. But it happened to me, and make sure it doesn't happen to you. I hope this story motivates you to take steps to go for a healthier heart. Learn what you can for both you and your family at www.goredforwomen.org.